If you're not aware, I'm searching for a private business to start my serial acquirer journey. The first business is, the foundational business. So it's really important for me. Well, every business is really important that I invest in. But anyway, here is what I am looking for. I'll go through these today with a little more context as to why I think this criteria is important. I'm still going to invest in the stock market. That's my savings account. I use Interactive Brokers for that. That's the safest. That's the one I trust. So that's where I still have my savings in Interactive Brokers. This is more of a project. This is more of me trying to build my own investment vehicle. So here we go. First thing I want to see in the business is some prospect of recurring revenues. I think recurring revenues are really important for the fact that you can. It's pretty obvious why, right? So like it's nice to have the ability to project. Like if you're at a restaurant, you really don't know how many people are going to come each day. You don't know how to budget for food. You don't know how to budget for stuff. But if you've got clients that come each year, each month, each week, each day, for whatever reason, and that revenue is going to be like clockwork, that's great. So a commercial laundromat would be a great example here. If you've got contracts with a hotel, you go each week, you pick up all the laundry, you go and wash it all. Yeah, the volume might change, but the customer doesn't. So that's the type of recurring revenue I'm talking about. Minimum 10-year track record. I think that's really important. I think the first 10 years of any business life is going to be fraught with danger. But if it's got past 10 years, I think it's the naive approach is that, well, it's like a shortcut. If it's got past 10 years, there's something going well here, something right here. No one does anything for 10 years if it's not profitable or there's super bad business or anything like that. So 10-year track record is what I'm looking at. Probably be okay with 8 years or something like that, but you get what I mean. B2B. B2B businesses I like better. I think it's more safe. I think it's more recurring revenues. I think you have less fickle customers. I think it's less competitive. There's a lot of reasons why I like B2B over B2C. Business to business, I'm talking about, by the way, when I say B2B. So yeah, I want to focus more on B2B as I think that is a generally safer market to be playing in, generally less competitive. I want the business to not have too much CapEx. So if it's a manufacturing business that has a lot of big equipment, millions of dollars worth of gear, that stuff's going to break. That stuff's going to need replacing. That stuff's going to be a pain, like essentially. So yeah, I want to be careful on CapEx. I think just early on, maybe in the future, I think a lot of people don't want much CapEx. So therefore, there could be an advantage if you do have lots of CapEx, and that's a bit of a barrier to other people coming in and competing because they're like, man, I don't want to spend $5 million on all this gear just so I could run this business. But initially, as my experience is small and my bank balance is considerably small, I want to keep this, the CapEx requirements low. I don't want to have any random big outlays of capital that I need to run the business. Emergency capital, for example, a critical machine breaks down and I have to go buy a new one. And there's $100,000 gone, and there's how that moves and how many months it takes to get in and what I could lose on the way. Let's just keep this a little bit more simple and keep the CapEx out of it for now. Next thing I wanted was I want the seller to be okay with some sort of earnout. So the reason why I wanted that is because there's a lot of risk already in place, and you kind of need the seller to help you with that transition and help you transition customers across to you and make sure everything sort of like doesn't break. So you kind of want to have the seller, if they're really confident about their business, they're going to be like, yeah, it's fine to have an earnout. I understand. Like if they're rational people, they will be proud of their business and be okay with transitioning it across on some sort of earnout arrangement. I know a lot of serial acquirers do it like this. Might be 70% upfront, 30% as an earnout over a year or two. I want to do something similar. So I've looked at a lot of listings already. There's a lot of people who are just like, I want full cash buyers, and that's great. And I hope they get those, but I just don't think that's logical for me. I don't want to be paying all cash up front. The owner just walk away, and then I don't know what I'm dealing with. Every business is complex no matter how simple it is. So I just feel from a safety point of view, you need to have some earnout requirement there, and the seller needs to just be okay with it. Next thing I wanted to look at was good quality customers. So not only the businesses that, if it's B2B, you want the B2B, the businesses that you're dealing with to be like good quality businesses, like not always tight with money, not always falling apart or stressed or hard work to deal with. For example, cafe owners, restaurants, I don't know whether you really want to deal with them as customers, just like you don't want to have a restaurant. They're already hard work businesses. So I think you want good quality customers that are reliable, that think your service is very, very important to them. They really like what you do. That was actually the next topic, the next point anyway, which was it needs to be important for the customers. So it doesn't need to be like, you don't want it to be some sort of like discretionary spending for the client. So it might be music equipment for restaurants. It's nice to have, they don't need it. It's not critical for them to deal with the music. What's more important is like the chef and the food and the machine, the stove working and things like that. So you want it to be one of the important things for the customer, not something that they can just push off and deal with later. Diversified revenue base. So I don't want to be tied up with revenue coming in from one or two clients. You want it to have as diverse as possible. I would say once you get past about 30 clients, you're probably pretty safe. And yeah, obvious reasons, reduces risk. Next thing I had was mission critical for customers. So that would be a nice to have, where it's the thing that you're supplying or doing for them is like, has to be done. There's no other options. Like we have to go with you or a competitor and that's it. Like it has to be done. Otherwise we don't have a business. So yeah, looking for things that are mission critical are really good. Gives you sticky customers. That's all if you do a good job. I wanted to have the business growing in revenues if possible, at least flat, but not in decline. Decline would make me a little bit concerned. That's something that I'm not seeing is going wrong. And you don't want to think that it's like too cyclical or anything like that. That's just more of a nice to have growing revenues. Scarce competition, obviously, nice to have scarce competition, whether that's because of geographical constraints, knowledge constraints, niche constraints. The market size is just so small that it only really can handle one or two people. Scarce competition, looking for something like that. You also want to be different from the competition. So you just want to be niche and unique enough that you just got to have some sort of point of difference. I'm looking for that. High gross margins. For any investment, you want good gross margins. You want good net operating profit after tax margins. Low customer churn. So you want customers to be with you for many, many years. Otherwise, sales is hard work. You don't want to have to be always plowing money into. You want to be plowing money into sales and marketing, of course, but you want it to be growing, not replenishing. So you need low customer churn. You want your customers to have a good opinion of you. Obviously, reputation is critical to business. So you don't want to buy a business that has a bad reputation. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I don't want to come in and have to hire somebody immediately. So the obvious reasons, I want somebody already in the business that knows how everything works, that I can come in and just learn and watch and not make any radical changes to how anything operates. And I kind of going to need help with that. So I don't want to have to come in and hire somebody immediately if possible. The key person who's staying, is that person a superstar? That's obviously what you want. The culture and the people who are running this business, you need them to be like epic people. That's going to rule out so many businesses. And I can tell you now, it already has ruled out a few businesses for me. I found so many of these factors in another business, but the issue was the person that was staying on. Yeah, they had too much knowledge, very key man risk. And that person didn't like as a person. That's a pretty critical one and a really difficult one. That's going to rule out just so much. Okay, last few criteria is, do I see a path to growth? Is there obviously a way to grow this thing further? Like if there's like no obvious way in my head, I'm like, I'm a bit nervous about that, but I want to hope to see a clear path to growth. I want to know if customers are price sensitive. I want to be able to hopefully increase prices, but either consistently each year, maybe 5% per year or something like that. But if customers are really price sensitive or there's excess competition in the space, that might be really difficult to do. So it depends on the quality of customers as well and things like that. So I just want to figure out whether I think they're price sensitive or not. Last one is the level of difficulty for me based on my skills and my experience, which is pretty limited. Some businesses are going to be easier than others. So I'm just rating businesses based on a level of difficulty for me personally. Like I said, I'm still going to be investing in the stock market. So if you're here for stock market related videos, don't unsubscribe. It's fine. Sometimes I'll be putting out videos on new investment ideas and updates on my portfolio. That's my savings account. So that's still pretty important to me. I learn a lot from that world, and I'm bringing it into the private market world anyway. For all of that, I use Interactive Brokers. There's a link in the description for that. That's, I think, the safest broker in the world. All right, that's the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one.